So Mahatmyam, we have seen all 6 chapters, meaning how we saw initially the glory of Bhagavatam, how Bhakti Devi, Jnana, Vairagya, they become happy, how Atmadeva, the story of Atmadeva, Dundukari, Gokarna, and finally how the Kumaras tell the procedure of performing a Srimad Bhagavata Saptah. Yeah. Now finally we delve into the Purana, Atha Prathamodhyayaha. Now here what happens is Shaunakadi sages, Shaunaka and the other sages, they question or they have a few questions for Suta, right? Now here, if you see the initial 3 shlokas, they're dissimilar to the Dhyana shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadyasya yatonvayadi tarataha. So that is like the initial part wherein it is said that we meditate on that ultimate form of the Lord, the supreme reality, and so on. So this beginning of the Purana seems to be a bit philosophical. Philosophical in the sense it talks about Janma Adyasya Yaton Vayadi Tarataha Janma Adyasya, meaning right from the beginning of this universe, or I meditate on that reality from whom this universe has sprung up, and so on. So it talks about that. Then finally, the Lord is present in all beings. Tene Brahmaradaya Adi Kavaye, one who told Brahma about his own, you can say, the consciousness about his own self. And then further, the Vedas were taught to the other sages. Then you have the 3 gunas who are there: Sattva, Rajas, Tajas, Tejo, Vari, Mridam, Yata, Vinimayo, Yatra, Sargo, Mrisha. Then Dharma, Projita. And finally, what happens is in the glorious Srimad Bhagavatam, which is composed by Vyasacharya, it has been taught that Bhagavata Dharma is something which is entirely free from all kinds of problems, or you can say desires, this and that. It is something which is a moksha grantha. That means it leads to ultimate moksha. Now, if you say Srimad Bhagavatam and so on, not only Srimad Bhagavatam, like this, there are many other scriptures who take the Ramayana and so on. It is easy. It's not easy in the sense it for human beings like us, it becomes easy to grasp. Right, the same thing is told with the help of stories also. Now, that is the reason why all of you, you see, whenever we study in school and things like that, after a main concept there is always an example that is given, right? And for writing that exam, I don't know how it is nowadays, but usually if you see, there is a concept which we write, and on basis of that you have to write an example. For that example, if you write, you get some extra 1 2 marks also. Has anyone seen this? You know about this? I don't know how it was. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I don't know how it is now, but at least. So why this concept? Yeah. So whenever you write a concept or a definition, there is always an example which has to be written. And for that example, you have some extra 1 2 marks which are given. You don't write an example, they'll cut your marks and so on. So why that example is something which is very, very important is you write a concept that is there to elaborate more or to explain the concept better. An example is something which is very, very important. That is the reason why these various scriptures, similar to this, these various scriptures like Ramayana, Bhagavatam, they will not just tell you the concept. After telling the concept, like here, if you see the initial shlokas, no doubt we should know the concept. Only knowing the example is not enough. Further, the same thing is explained through various examples that are told. That's the reason the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first few shlokas, they will tell us about the ultimate concept. Oh, we are going to talk about the ultimate reality, ultimate Brahman who's controlling over this universe, who taught the who gave the ultimate, you can say the real knowledge also to Brahma. Brahma passed it on through other sages. That's how the Vedic knowledge it spread and so on. So this is the main concept. Further, through various, now who is this ultimate reality? It is Narayana. About Narayana, his various avatars also, they are described further in the form of examples, various stories. So then it becomes easy for people like us to understand. Someone just starts talking, oh, this is reality, this is Brahman, this is Maya, this is material life, this and that, we'll get confused, right? So to elaborate that in an easy manner, various avatars of the Lord are told. But here, just as an example is important, similarly, knowing the core concept is something which is very, very important. Just knowing merely examples, you just write an example, you will get only 1 mark if you don't write that main concept, right? You have to first know the concept also. So So therefore, knowing the concept is something which is very, very important. To elaborate and explain that, we have the other further shlokas, further skandhas also that are told. That's the reason why chapter 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam talks or begins with the ultimate concept. Further, Nigamakalpataror Galitam Phalam. So therefore, here what happens is Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukhamukhad. Shuka, it is as if nectar is being, just as when we, you can say, you take a juice and you remove all the, from a fruit, just as you remove all the pulp and juice from it, similarly Shuka is squeezing all the nectar out from Srimad Bhagavatam for devotees like us. In spite of doing all this also, if you don't listen, or if you don't take out the juice, you don't consume the nectar, it is our ajnanam that is there. So this nectar is of supreme bliss. Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muguraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. So Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but the essence or the juice of all the Vedas. So therefore he says that you go on drinking this nectar again and again till you ultimately realize the Lord. So that's the reason why we keep chanting all these shlokas, is that again and again. Now further, so first three shlokas, they are an introduction. Now the final story starts. Now, if you see Shuka Brahman was there, like we know, he tells that, or his nature was to not stay in a place for a long period of time. That is, I think for, if I'm not wrong, 16, it's not actually minutes, muhurta, something like that. I don't remember the exact term. But Shuka, if he says he will not stay in one place for a longer period of time. Why so? Because the more you stay in a place also, automatically there is attachment that comes in. Right? Now we stay in our houses for so many years. You go to some other house, oh today I'm not getting sleep. Or today no, I'm not comfortable here. Forget about going to another house. You go and sleep in another room only, you won't get sleep. Right? Or maybe you change your pillow, this and that, we don't get sleep. So therefore Shuka used to not stay in one place at all. So here, Naimishe, Nimisha Kshetre. Further, verse number 4 onwards, a story starts, wherein once upon a time in a forest called Naimisharanyam, which is in today's Nimsar, Nimsar, Aud, Madhya Pradesh today, central India, central Bharatam, wherein a place which is sacred to Lord Vishnu. Even today also, if you take up a pilgrimage yatra in the central part of Bharata, you can go to this place, Naimisharanyam. There, Shaunakadi sages were doing a great sacrifice, which was planned that it will be completed in a span of 1,000 years. Now, whenever such terms come in 1,000 years, we should not think that, oh, what thousand and all this is unbelievable. Today in Kali Yuga, average human lifespan is 100 years. Therefore, for us, it is unbelievable. In those times, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, this is almost the end of Dwapara Yuga. Kali Yuga is about to begin. So, therefore, of course, lifespan was also more than. So, that's when Shaunakadi sages, they were about to do a sacrifice, and they paid their respects to Suta. Suta was also present there. And they had a few questions. The first chapter only is where Shaunaka and other sages, they have few questions for Suta. Now that's when Rishaya Uchuhu, the rishis, they ask a few questions, and they tell that you have studied so many Puranas, Itihasas, everything. And Vyasacharya, Badarana is another name which is used for Vyasacharya. He has also compiled the Vedas, the Puranas, and so on. You also know about all that. You please tell us about these texts or so, or there is so much to study. In this Kali age, what can people like us or the devotees who will come, what will they be able to do? Because there are many, many scriptures, right? If you see verse number 11, Bhuri Nibhuri Karmani Shrotavyani Vibhagashaha. Now, these sages, like us, we don't have to even think about this. These sages in those times only thought about us, and they told that scriptures are many. Now, someone tells you read the Ramayana, the original one, that itself will take a year for us. Who will read this? So many, about 24,000 verses. I don't have so much time, right? And moreover, that is true also to some extent. So, therefore, they say that. And now, when I say read doesn't mean we just read one line and then we move about, right? We have to also understand each and every part. So, that's when these sages say, Bhurini Bhuri Karmani. There are so many scriptures that are there. They are numerous. Further, it's not that very easy that, okay, I read one line, I'll be able to grasp it. That is also not possible. Therefore, you tell us about one text which has the essence of everything, and wherein we are able to worship the Lord. It talks about the Leelas of the Lord and so on. And that's when, now here we want to know about the son of Devaki. Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yasya Kirshaya, son of Devaki and Vasudeva. For what purpose he was born as a son of Devaki and Vasudeva? That is mainly the Krishnavataram stories. You please tell us, because we are all very much keen to listen about this avatara. Mainly, he was born. The Lord took an avatara, not born, let's not use the term born. He took an avatara for the protection and prosperity of everyone. So, therefore, and further they say, verse number 14, Apanna samsratim ghoram yennama vivasho krinan. All of us who are fallen in this trap of samsara or to any problems that we are in, yannama vivasho krinan. If we chant the names of the Lord, knowingly, unknowingly, even helplessly, they say, Tatasadyo vimuccheta yad bibheti swayam bhavan. Vivashaha meaning they're helpless. Even maybe you're in a tough situation, you don't know what to do. During that time, also, if you chant the names of the Lord comes and protects us. So, this is the significance of this Lord. So, you please tell us more about that. Further, sages like us, now, all this the sages are telling Suta. So, sages they tell that we have come in contact with each other. That is a very good satsangam. We are all thinking, we are all like-minded people, we think about the Lord together, we have the same interest, so therefore you only should guide us. But is there anything else or anyone who will tell us more about the Lord, more about the leelas of the Lord also? Or is there anything which will remove the evils of Kali age? So therefore you please tell us in detail. Tasya karmanyudarani parigidani suribihe brohina shraddhadananam vilayada datafkalaha. You tell us about the various noble acts that we can do to worship the Lord. You tell us about the various avatars of the Lord. So that which various other sages like Narada and various other great devotees have already sung before. Like we have already seen in Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatyam, Gokarna, and so on. Parikshit, Shuka also told Parikshit. So, like this, very many great people have already sung the various avatars of the Lord through the means of Srimad Bhagavatam. You also please guide us. And he tells that please tell us about the various stories of the Lord, so that we, for our part, we will be able to know this. And you have to also tell us, now here a reference to Balarama also comes, verse number 20. Kritavan kila viryani saharamena keshavaha. Ramena keshavaha, here Rama refers to Balarama. So here he tells that Balarama has taken an avatara as an elder brother of Krishna. Further, now that we know that Dwapara Yugam is about to end and Kali Yugam has arrived, we have all assembled together in this holy place for doing the sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. Now, this age of Kali that is there, it is very, very difficult. It takes away the purity of men. But we, as such, we want to get over the evils of Kali, and that's the reason we have all met you. You are the one who has to show us the right path. Tvam na sandirshido datra dustaram nistitirshatam kalim sattvaharam pumsam karanadara ivarnavam. Finally, the last shloka he says that since now bruhi yogeshware krishne brahmanye dharma varmani swam kashtam adunopete dharmafkam sharanam gataha. Now that the Lord has left Bhulokam and ascended to Vaikuntham, you should tell us for his abode. You should now tell us where should we go and seek for protection, where will dharma exist, and so on. Or now that the Lord has left, now when the Lord was there on Bhulokam, dharma or righteousness that was there, everything was there. You can say everything used to get merged with the Lord. Now, to whom should we go? Where will dharma exist? And so on. So just now, this question that was there, even Uddhava had. That's when to Uddhava, Krishna gives an answer saying that I will merge myself with Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, listen to the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is as if my presence will be felt. That's the reason why we respect our books also equally, right? So similarly here also these sages have the same question to Suta, saying that now you please guide us what to do further, because now we don't know. Krishna Avataram has come to an end. Krishna has taken various avatars. Now we wish to know more about the same. So if you see, the gist of chapter 1 is where the sages assemble together. They have assembled to do a sacrifice. They meet Suta there. They ask Suta to tell them about the glories of the Lord. And finally also ask him, they tell him to guide them on the right path, what they should do and so on. This is just a very introductory chapter, but here there is a significance, and what it shows is before we do something, it is always good to know the purpose behind it, or to know what actually needs to be done. Now here it doesn't mean that those sages were not learned or so, or they didn't know what to do. It's not things. It was not like that. But whenever a learned person comes, it is always better to seek the guidance of that person, right? So if there is someone who comes, it might be one's own guru, or maybe someone learned who comes, they know four more things more than us. It is always better to seek the guidance. That's the reason why to our priest also, the family priest or someone, we always ask them, right? Whenever we do something, we always ask them, should we do it this way, should we do it that way? Or whenever there is some festival, or even the shraddhadi karmas that come in, even for the tithi also, we go and ask the priest, right? Though we know it is not the same year, the same tithi comes in, we have the panchanga in our houses, you can see that, and so, but still we seek the guidance of a learned person who is there, because that is the amount of respect which we should have. So these sages also, when Suta comes in, they give him utmost respect, and ask him the ways of doing bhakti towards the Lord, the ways of realizing the Lord, and so on. And of course, it is a means for devotees like us to know more about the Lord. So, with this, chapter 1 comes to an end. Chapter 2 is when, now listening to all this Vyasacharya, Suta, he becomes happy. Now, if you see, Suta is just like a conveyor of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you see, he's also a main character, but he is like a third person who is conveying. That is, the sages ask this question to him. That, like, for example, now, just as I am telling you about Srimad Bhagavatam, I was not a part when Srimad Bhagavatam takes place. I am telling you, right? Now, Vyasacharya asked this to Shuka, or Shuka tells this to Parikshit. Like this, Suta played this role in Srimad Bhagavatam. He played the role of a conveyor. Of course, there are certain things also which are certain main points also where Suta conveys, but mainly if you see, Suta's character is this way, wherein he said, no, Vyasacharya now gives this answer, and so on. Yeah. Now here, so with this, chapter 1 comes to an end. Chapter 2 is when finally the glory of the Lord is told, and how bhakti should develop towards him. That is true. That's the reason why, if you see in Narayanyam also, the first three dashakams that are there, they talk about the form of the Lord, which is similar to chapter 1. Further, bhakti, form of the Lord, is further described in chapter 2. Suryas Paradi Kiritamur Dvatilaka. Finally, Bhakti Prarthana, chapter 3, which is somewhat similar to chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is how Bhattatri has kept in mind and composed the Dashakams of Narayana. Yeah. Okay. Let us look at chapter 2 next time.